We now move to an engaging fireside chat. For that, I would like to invite on days the two stalwarts of the financial world, Shri Sundeep Sikka, Chairman of AMFI and Executive Director and CEO Nippon Life India Asset Managers Limited, who will share his insights on the evolving landscape of mutual funds and investor confidence. And with him, we have Ms. Latha Venkatesh, Executive Editor at CNBC TV 18, whose sharp analysis and deep understanding of markets promise to make this dialogue both thought-provoking and enriching.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for that very kind words. But when Nilesh Shah sows seeds of thoughts, it's a little difficult to better that. So as Sandeep advised me, let's begin where Nilesh left off. That would be the best part. I thought I'll still keep what I thought should be my first question, just setting the stage. Like you said, mutual funds have done an excellent job and the Sahi Hai campaign helped. But other things also helped. The inflection point that India was perhaps in 2020, and we didn't realize. Those 5 years, as the SEBI chairman never tires of repeating, we saw this jump in AUMs and in the number of investors from 4.5 crore to 13.5 crore. So let's start over there, Sandeep. You know, this came on us without our realization. No one foresaw that you will treble the number of investors in just a matter of 5 years when, you know, we were plodding along to 4 crore investors over 20 years. How do you look at the numbers going forward? How much more can we continue in this pace of growth of the mutual fund investor community?
So I think I've been given the most difficult job when you say the sharpest journalist of India is doing a fireside with me. So I think it's a very interesting question. How far we can go? I think it depends on our imagination. So I want to go back to let me exactly where Nilesh left. I go back to year 2000. I still remember. My father retired from government service, and as a government servant, you get all the money, where you have to deploy various places. At that time, I was a young 28-year-old guy, and he asked me where to invest. So we were from the mutual fund industry. I told him, invest everything in mutual fund industry. And all his dear friends told him, ये लड़का आपका ना पैसा डुबाएगा आपका कि mutual fund में काम करता है, mutual fund बोल रहा है, mutual fund is not the best thing. But fast forward, last year, my daughter started working, and when she got her first salary, the first thing she asked me was, Dad, where do I put money? In which SIP should I put other than Nippon? So the point what I'm saying here is a very interesting thing, because she also knew that I'll talk about Nippon, but the fact I think is the generational change that has happened, how where at some point of time you have to convince and where it's coming to a natural way. But the big
I'll give you a date as well. I mean, I want you to look into the future. It's a great anecdote that you have told us. We've come from 4 to 13.5 crore in 5 years. How many more Indians can we net in 5 years, say 2030?
So I'll give a number very interesting. I've just started my second term as an AMFI chair. So exactly 10 years back, I think when I was the AMFI chair, the industry size was 14 lakh crores, and the SIP, monthly SIP was 2,000 crores. So today, exactly 10 years later, we are almost touching 80,000 crores, and the monthly SIP is 30,000 crores. So I think, as we say, I think we do not want to give a future number, but I think the day is not far away when every Indian household will be mutual fund investor. To your question, let's divide this. If you are about 140 crore Indians, 4 people in a family, 4 to 5, we are talking about 30 crore households. So today, I think it's a dream and a vision, I think, and all of us are AMFI. People like Nilesh Bhai, myself, Bala, a couple of us who have given our entire career to the mutual fund industry. I think our biggest achievement will be, I think when we retire, we can say every Indian household is a mutual fund investor. And I don't think so. Maybe 10 years back, if you had asked me at that time, I said, looks difficult. Can it happen in the next 10, 15 years? Answer is yes. A definitive yes.
No, I agree with you. It's also a question of our per capita income. The number of people who will graduate to the level of saving and investing will dramatically go up. And I'm of the view that we're all surprised by this 7.1, 7.8% GDP. My sense is our potential growth has grown. And we we have been so cautious over the past 10 years, we are not coming to terms with the fact that this may be the trend growth. One more year, maybe I'm speaking too soon.
So
Then
continue with the same thing. Let's take it. Every year, about 10 million people are joining the workforce. Now, if I was to use the same logic of my daughter, every one of them, they may not initially have too much money to invest. But even if they were to start a SIP of 1,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, that is what we want. That's the culture we want. And I think I'm very, very bullish. I think mutual fund has come to a point, where I think today it is no more fighting for a wallet share. I think it demands its wallet share. I mean, it's coming to a point where I think earlier we had to go and talk to people, please invest in mutual funds. Today it's, it's so interesting. While I was talking to you on the sidelines, and Nilesh bhai also mentioned, too much money is coming in equities. We want in other asset classes
I'm
also.
coming to that. That is my next question. You all just met the finance minister. The pre-budget meetings have begun. How do you convince the government to get back to the debt culture? There was a time, until what, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, when I, as the sole debt reporter, fixed income reporter, had some place in the limelight because it always outshone equities in the AUM. Now both the fortunes of debt and Latha Venkatesh have receded for the same reason. So anyway, my point is, what is the one thing you want and you hope you will get so that debt gets back its rightful place in the economy? Not because AUM or because, I would like Nilesh Shah to be a debt fund manager rather than a CEO, but because the country needs debt as much as it needs equity.
So first let me share with you, I think about yesterday's meeting. Before we entered the meeting, we were told that you're not allowed to talk about the meeting outside. So I cannot talk anything about the meeting.
Okay, tell me this. I'll cancel my question. What do you want?
What I want, that's why I said it's mutual fund industry teaches you to give disclaimers before you say anything. So, so I think again coming to the point, one thing that I think is really actually, if you see, it's not whether you're a debt reporter, debt fund manager. I think as a country, you need capital. Yes. There's an equity capital and you need fixed income also. And today there's a limitation how much banks can support. It is a very, I think amongst all the success stories of mutual fund, I think from a fixed income point of view, as we talk today, only 3% of the individual holders all the investors are only in fixed income. It's only 3%. I think this has been going 3%. Out of every 100 investors, only 3 investors are investing in fixed income. Then the other data point, let me share with you. Individuals as for AUM, which was as high as 23% in 2020, is down to 9%. That is also primarily because equity is increasing. I think let's not...
Okay, it's not aggregate which is falling, percentage.
Percentage. And the fastest fall happened after the 23 budget. I think after the indexation went away. So I think today it's very unfortunate position where fixed income is the only asset class which does not have long-term capital gains. And I'm not trying to, again, it's whether fixed yesterday's meeting or no meeting. Logically speaking, we may like it or not, at some point of time, taxation does matter. I think it helps, today to investors to, even if you were to talk about the equity culture, ELSS was a very interesting trigger. How much we garnered in it is a different discussion. But it was a good trigger to tell people to take that baby step into into equity markets. So I think that if you have to say as a mutual fund industry, that's one thing, as AMFI we believe, if the taxation was to become favorable again, I think it's going to be very, very helpful. And let me give you a very, another data point. Things are changing today. Mutual fund industry is at a very interesting point because it's gone into so small towns and cities, everywhere it's there. So this Diwali, I want to give this example. I think we have always been talking, and one of the, Nilesh bhai, one of the favorite topic is, he doesn't like people buying gold. I'm also like one of you, have not been able to convince my wife not to buy, but the reality is, people still buy. But one good change that is happening, again from a data point of view, this was 2025 Diwali. From 2020 Diwali and Dhanteras Day, the total amount of gold bought on that day, on the day of Dhanteras, in 20 was 80 crores, 21 was 120 crores, 22 was again 150 crores, last year was 300 crores, this year was 600 crores. So this is how things are changing. So today,
But this could be just price value. No, this
I don't think so. It's a price value.
this Diwali, everything got distorted by price.
Perfectly okay, but Latha, what you have to see is, I think the point I'm trying to make, it's a behavioral change that is happening. It's a change that is happening. Similarly, I think the platform is ready. I think it's also for the government and for India. I mean, how do we take advantage of the mutual fund network that is available?
Okay, without Nilesh Bhai saying that, and he put it beautifully, mutual fund sahi hai, mutual fund sirf equity nahi hai. One of the questions I had for Sundeep was this, that, is the mutual fund industry educating people? Gold ETFs are not popularized at all. Half the people don't know it exists. And I can tell you that one of the most intelligent investors I know is our makeup team, because they're constantly watching, they have to get us ready before our show. So their ears are hooked on. And they were not aware. Sona घ्यायचं, कसं घ्यायचं, that is the constant refrain. Have you all failed in educating in terms of this debt mutual fund as well as other things like REITs and ETFs?
So Latha, I think I'll always say it's work in progress. I will not use the word failed, because as an industry, we have succeeded, I think, in getting saving culture. Now, it is continuously keeps evolving. There was a time, I think, when we used to talk about equity, people used to not be interested in equity. That's the time, if I was sitting with you 10 years back, you would be say, have you failed in equities? The answer is no. And we have to also understand one thing. Investment behavior is built over generations. It doesn't happen by, someone reading something. I think what you are taught, what you have seen your parents doing it, and today media also plays a very important role in that. So I think the way you have to see is, people were always comfortable for fixed deposit, fixed income. They were okay with fixed deposits also, because of the primary reason there was limited upside. Now I think we are at a stage, we believe, if the taxation was to come back, I think you'll see what has happened in the equity mutual funds. A similar thing will also happen in the fixed income mutual funds.
Yeah. No, I agree. That has been a game changer rule for the negative, and a change will probably help.
It's very difficult. Believe me, I think even educated people, we all talk about, I think.
No, but give me an undertaking that you all will popularize gold ETFs. You have said that,
100%.
There is
for us, we are very clear, for the mutual fund industry.
REITs.
For mutual fund industry, I think we are agnostic of the asset class. I think we need to build the balanced portfolio for the investors, balanced portfolio for the country. That's what we are working on.
Yeah. No, also because, as Nilesh Bhai said, the craze to invest in gold and realizing that its value is almost a hedge against the depreciating Indian rupee. That is being misconstrued by people buying gold jewelry and losing, both in terms of quality and in terms of, the making charges, everything. Okay, I'm being told that it is now less than 10 minutes, so I have to wear my journalist cap also. I can't only keep asking how the industry grows. The TER, the RBI, the SEBI's consulting paper. What is the best thing you want? This two bips brokerage cap, which the regulator has imposed. How are you going to treat it? Is it a killer? Is it going to make life very difficult for you all? And what is your ask?
So I heard Sarup sitting here in the earlier when this question was asked, he said, I'm a member of AMFI, I can't answer. So as an AMFI chair, I don't know if I can answer or not, but let me give you a very,
AMFI chair can, no, you all have to represent. Absolutely. AMFAC only has a problem.
So I'm also a member of AMFAC, but okay. So I think, let me put it the other way around. I think we need to understand and appreciate the spirit of the regulator, what they're trying to do. First, I think the consultative papers, I think there are a lot of consultative papers across the world which are issued by regulators. And I'm saying this, I think even if there's nobody from the regulator sitting here, I think the actual consultation that happens on these papers is mind-boggling. It's difficult for many of us to believe also.
I agree.
So we as industry players, as individual companies, and also as AMFI, n number of discussions have happened. So I think what I'm trying to say is nothing is conclusive, and many times what happens, we try to see one headline out of it. The headline looks like that they are trying to cut cost. Answer is no. I think you need to see the same paper very differently, and I'm not trying to, as a journalist, definitely you should look at it very differently, but I'm going to say how I see it. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the whole thing more transparent. They're trying to say that I think at no point of time their intent is to cut cost. Their intent is to get away with any duplication of cost. Their idea is that I think they should also, investors should know what are the various heads, under what expense what is going. And your point of 2 basis point, I think it's a consultation paper, but I want to also highlight the fact what was initially announced was 12 basis point was allowed. The average for the industry is 6 basis point. It's exactly similar to what was discussed in the earlier session. Fixed income, you are allowed to charge 150 basis point, but average industry charges about 20-25 basis point. So I don't see at this point of time this paper is anyway negative. I actually take it as positive. Even I'm not here to represent AMFI or anybody, I think.
No, there was I don't think he's even a mutual fund guy. He was worrying that, say, for a broker, I think it was a broker who said this. If I get an order from an FPI, and I get an order from a PE, and I get an order from an HNI, and I get an order from a mutual fund, I'll ignore the mutual fund most because I'm capped at 2 bases. So he said, I think it was the broker who told me, I cannot remember. He said it is not going to work to your own advantage as a mutual fund investor because I will not give your fund manager good service.
I think the biggest pool of money available is also with the mutual funds. That is point number one. Point number two, we are no one as a mutual fund industry. I think this is a price which will be defined by SEBI. And what makes you think if you're trying to SEBI things of mutual funds? Brokers are basically regulated by SEBI. They're not regulated by mutual funds. I mean, the pricing has...
So is the answer... You don't put a cap. I mean, SEBI is not putting a cap on your salary. SEBI is not putting a cap on your rent. SEBI is not putting a cap on your electricity payment. Why are you trying to determine any cost at all? Is the answer, just remove it. Let the market decide what the brokerage is.
I think the other way to see it, SEBI still has not decided, number one, not decided the number.
I agree.
And SEBI has also, if anything above you're paying, you pay out of your own P&L. Okay. I mean, SEBI is not stopping you from doing that. I mean, if you feel, ultimately market forces will decide if somebody adds value. I mean, the earlier session, I think I was hearing, which was more from advisory and distribution point of view. And I clearly believe, if anybody adds value, market rewards you for that. And which also takes me to the point, I mean, because many times there is a lot of debate that happens between active versus passive. And passive also...
I'm coming to it.
Am I preempting your questions? So, but wherever you add value, market will reward you with the fees or with business. I think that's the only thing I'm trying to.
Okay. No, my point is the solution to just not mention it at all. Can the chapter go out of the SEBI regulations?
So I think maybe
of mutual funds.
Too early for us to preempt anything. My sense, we should wait.
No, we will of course wait. SEBI will have better ideas. I'm not...
Because there's a lot of consultation happening. Because the same brokers, the AMFI is also talking to SEBI. And I think from our point of view, but overall, if I were to say, because this is a mutual fund summit, I think on behalf of the mutual fund industry and as an AMFI chairman, I can say, we do not see anything negative in it because SEBI's intent is not negative. SEBI's intent is to grow the industry and it is clearly towards that. And SEBI continues to be in a very, very positive consultative mode with us.
That all I agree, but I still have a feeling that you all will give me a different answer if the limelight was not on you. Anyway, that's another matter. Let's come to the active-passive thing. Again, running out of time. My accusation to the mutual fund industry would be, I'm deliberately being provocative. That's the role of a journalist.
That's what you're the best
you all are not pushing passives as much as you all push actives. The ETFs is only part of the question. More generally, the category of passives is not pushed enough. You all need to educate investors a little more on the passives. Would you agree?
No, I think there are two parts to it. I think it's not a question of whether education is there. Passive today is about 13 lakh crores out of 80 lakh crores, but effectively it's growing very fast. It's growing faster than active. And I want to see it the other way around. I think I think we are one of the largest in passives, as a company. And one of the questions that often comes to me, which one is better? Which one is better? And from my point of view, I think I can't answer that question. It's for the investor and the advisor to decide. I think we have to do what the investor needs. We have to do what we feel is the right for the investor. Investor has to take a final choice. If investor wants to go for alpha, he will have to pay extra fees and he's willing to pay. If he doesn't, he wants to play a passive game, it's available. And from our point of view, so I still remember, since you're talking as a journalist, I should share.
You're not popularizing it enough, is my point.
So today, the fastest growing in the number of investors is actually passives. Today, the number of investors which are coming in
direct
ETF,
funds.
Not direct active, but pure passives. The number is very high. So it is. So many times, it's at this point of time, what happens is passive is not as sexy. So what happens is, you don't end up, nobody talks about it. Okay. But the reality is, it is being, the undercurrent is very, very positive.
Charge cancelled. Point taken. Let me come to the other questions. Again, we are running out of time. I just wanted to know, how worried are you about the way in which money has rushed, and a large part of it is mutual fund money, because the money has come into small caps and mid caps. Many of the companies I notice are practically held only by the small cap funds and the mid cap funds. Now, God forbid if this AI tumble that we are seeing in the last 4 days in foreign jurisdictions in the US, in the Far East, if that were to, just become a larger tumble, then if there is a stampede of people withdrawing, redemptions, because of the fear that prices are falling, do you think we are in for some very difficult times? Because mutual funds are the largest holders of some small caps and mid caps.
I feel it's such a good thing. Direct investors are not holding it. They would be stuck. Today we have with the institutional investors where we can, take actions at the right time.
You don't see a problem?
Let me give you data. Again, there are about 270 companies where mutual funds hold more than 5% in a company. And I don't think so that's a very big challenge. I think when you're investing in these companies, some of these companies, you're right, the liquidity may not be the best, but they've been bought from a long-term point of view. It all depends on, I think, and somehow we try to see stock by stock. You have to see from risk management point of view. Today, the mutual fund system is such. I'm going to, because this is a very important charge that you put, and I'm going to give you an answer that the way SEBI has designed the whole thing, the way we have to come out with, in how many days can we liquidate the portfolio? There are checks and maker and checkers inside the system. So I don't see that as a problem, but I'm so happy. Direct investors are not holding that. Just imagine if direct investors are holding, something goes wrong, they don't even know what to do. So you should thank mutual fund industry for helping the...
No, see, I'm not accusing in this point. When it comes to mid-cap, the word accused I used for the previous question. Oh, okay. For this question, my just fear is, if there is a tumble, then are we going to get stuck? Because you all sold and people bought mid-caps and small caps with such
I think what you have to understand
appetite.
I think what you have to understand, there is a risk management mechanism that works. I think it is not you are looking at 3 or 4 stocks, like I mentioned.
Yeah, and I fear that it should not get stuck.
But so let me give again an example of, I think we run one of the largest small cap funds in the country, and it has got 200 stocks.
Okay.
But the reality is, if I was to go, because of on the liability side, the retail, the number of investors which are there, the top 100 investors have only 1% of the AUM. Now, again, I'm repeating, top 100 investors have only 1% of the AUM. So that is how you have to manage the liquidity. Okay. And I believe every company, every asset management company has a different risk management practice, but the risk management practice is very, very good in the mutual fund industry.
Okay, fine. I have some more accusations, but I'll leave it now. I want some, I want you to... yeah, I know. Thanks for that. I noticed that they've been very kind and given us more time. I just wanted to know, what are the structural changes you see? How much of mid-towns and small towns and even villages have come in? Any kind of structural shift? I only know this broad number. 4 crore investors has become 14 crore almost in the last 5 years, last 6 years. Give us the other structural shifts that you have seen and are likely to see.
I think sitting next to you, Latha, I feel I'm sitting for an exam. I should have prepared a little better. But let me, try to, I should have run through my numbers better. But let me, again, as a practitioner, many times it's not just the numbers, but I think it's important to give a color and a flavor. So I want you to, after this session, and Neil, you're also, you should search mutual funds on Google, and see from what cities is the search happening. And I always believe what you and me say, many times our views are based what is happening, within the people we talk to, what's the view. But Google Analytics will tell you, the mutual fund word is being searched by the smaller cities more than the Delhi and the Mumbais. So this is the change that has happened. So that is point number 1. Today, it is a matter of fact.
I think you should put this up in an article or something in AMFI.
I need you more because more often than we can get these facts out. You need someone to get the best out of the participants. So then I think the second important thing, structural shift. The fact that B30 came in 2012. I remember Mr. Sinha was the chairman at that point of time. I think today it's come to a very interesting point. I think B30, 50, 60, 100, 200 is far away. We are now, the fact is basically recently in the industry, we opened our first branch, other branches in Leh. Now you've gone to 300 plus. Now this is the structural change we are talking about.
I think this calls for a round of applause for ourselves.
Then I think again the fact that today we can thumb the table and say 100% of the pin codes of India, 100% of the districts of India, I think we are mutual fund investors and we are creating wealth for them. This is something what we have done, So I think this is where it's gone really retail. And I would say, I think one of the biggest things that gives satisfaction to all of us who've given our careers for the mutual fund industry is this change when you go to small cities and towns. Now, when you say mutual fund, well, I would still say बैंक मैनेजर को थोड़ा इज्जत से देखा जाता है एंड उसके बाद डॉक्टर को देखा जाता है अब थोड़ा हमारे को भी देखते हैं बोलते हैं कि नहीं आप हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं तो दैट इज द बिग चेंज दैट हैज
लेकिन हाल ही में कोई बैंक मैनेजर को देखता ही नहीं है पैसे आप ले गए
आप यू गो टू अ स्मॉल सिटी एंड टाउन आई कैन सी डीपी SBI branch manager is the king there in every smaller city.
Okay. Well, is there a danger of costs falling not because the regulator is doing anything, but because now you're about 50 funds or something? I mean, it's multiplying. And then there is this fear that there is a big giant entering and that might, take away margins simply because, the ability, the staying power of the new entrant. Is there any such fear? Existential fear, one, because there are simply, you're getting one mutual fund license practically every week, something is getting announced, and two, because very big players are entering.
I don't think so. It's about entering a big player or a small player. The biggest worry is, I think if we are unable to add value to the investor, I think that is the fear that you need to be worried about. So I think I like to get away with the myth that many times which we have, that by reducing expense, I think if we can grow business, I think that it's not a reality. If we think by, again, I have a lot of distributor friends here sitting, if any AMC feels only by increasing brokerages, you can grow the business, you cannot. For whatever you do, the investor has to be the center. Are you adding value to that investor or not? The fact you talked about passives, you talked about ETFs. The reality is there's no brokerage there. Still it's growing. So you need to add value, and this is something which everybody has to understand. And to your point, we are 50. This is the highest number of AMCs ever in India. Till now, just as a data point, we were always in the band of 35 to 40. 21 foreign AMCs have left India. 8 domestic AMCs have left India. And now the more licenses have been given. But I think this thing will be, it's more important that to grow the business, to have a strong foundation, we need to keep investing in risk management. Less focus should be on expenses and brokerages. More focus should be on value add to the investors.
Fair enough. Do I have to ask the house to ask questions? Or can I dominate? Okay, well, I'll tell you.
I'm getting grilled,
No, I didn't know the term, the mandate given to me, sorry. The final thing, these are things which we whisper as journalists, and I don't have solid data on it. But these days, about 25 of you, or 20, or half a dozen of, dozens of you are anchor investors. And you all take what is very clearly an overpriced IPO. And then your lock-in goes away and you all are able to sell. Do you think you all should refrain from going into anchor investors for what is patently an expensive IPO?
I think the way you need to see this is market is made up on views. And I think you'll never have this scenario, what you mentioned, 25 of them together. So I think if you were to look at a lot of IPOs where you'll see many anchors, there are times, if you look at the top 10, let me take top 10 where there's a bigger pool of money, 7 will be there, 3 are not there. And in the next issue, some other 7 will be there, 3 are not there. These are individual views. I do not want to get into, because many times a lot of these are based on view for future. These are not, mutual funds are not traders that we are seeing everything from what happens in the next 2 or 3 months. Many times the views are a little more futuristic. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, a very recent this thing, a lot of, but the reality is, the view, I think it's very, it's for an IPO, it's easy to have this discussion. The same view can also be, I think your question was, so the same view can be for any other stock also. But we believe market forces are the best forces, let them decide, and market is ruthless. Latha, believe me, this industry, all of us are mutual fund players, and as Nilesh also mentioned, a lot of my colleagues are sitting here. We are together in AMFI. But for everything else, we are fighting day in, day out, for business.
Okay.
And also looking for good papers both in debt and equity.
I did a Google search only for about 5 minutes on this issue. And I did find one instance where a person was an anchor investor, and when the lock-in was removed, that fund was a seller. I saw that in one instance, but to be fair, I didn't see it in too many instances. So I give both of us credit for that question.
No, it's
anyway, I think the bell was made to ring at a very opportune time. Thank you very much, Sundeep. It's been a pleasure, and your success is really the success of India. So I wish the mutual fund remains not just sahi, but grows in size and strength for
Latha,
the good of India.
Also officially place on record the support of media, because why I say this, the education, I think we'll always keep saying we are good. But when a third party says you are good, it makes a lot of difference. And today, I think in our careers we have seen, there used to be, for 5 days or 1 week, there was no reference of mutual funds in any business paper. Today, there on every page of the newspaper, there's something about the mutual fund. So thank you all of you and everyone in media.
Note which I wanted to tell the AMFI and you all have to do something about simplifying the jargon. For a very long time, I didn't understand what is the meaning of balance advantage. And mind you, I am in this business. It must have been 2008, 9, 10, all those years. Ye balance advantage kya hai bhai? I'll tell you how many names you all have. Okay, multi-cap, flexi-cap, large and mid-cap, large cap, thematic, mid-cap, small cap, ELSS, dividend yield, sectoral, contra, value-oriented, multi-factors. That is the new one that has entered the jargon. Multi-factors fund. And then let me go, balance hybrid, best dynamic asset allocation. I mean, there are like 400 categories here. This is itself going to make, confuse the investor a lot. Please do something to educate us.
Point taken, Latha.
Okay.
Thank you.
A round of applause. A round of applause. I can proudly say that was a highly captivating fireside discussion. I now request our Director General Sundeep Khosla to present mementos to panelist Latha Venkatesh and speaker Sundeep Sikka sir as a token of appreciation. Request you to please join for a group photo.